Your brilliance is not enough. You are not responding to how they treat you. The reality is you are responding to how you've taught them. I know women who are brilliant. And when I say brilliant, I truly do mean brilliant. But they find themselves in this loop, this cycle where they make a decision, their decision is questioned. They give a suggestion, but their suggestions are qualified. They set boundaries, and their boundaries are immediately tested. This is because people in your life, whether it is business or whether it's your personal life, they are responding to signals that you are giving off, signals that teach them how to treat you. We teach people how to treat us. There are certain signals that we give off. Let me give you an example. Recently, I was on a panel for an executive position, a high stakes executive position, where there were two women who applied. And immediately, they lost their authority. And they lost their authority through body language, what they were saying. And it wasn't because they weren't brilliant, because obviously they were qualified based on their resumes, based on their credentials. By all intents and purposes, these women should have been able to own the room. Now, the first signal is what I like to call emotional exposure. One of the women during the interview, one of the candidates, her voice immediately went softer, almost infantile. The second one, her voice went extremely high pitched. They both started to fidget with their clothes. They started to touch themselves and they started to touch their hair. They started to do this nervous giggle. This is what I call emotional exposure. It is those micro things that you do when, let's say, someone questions your authority, that micro expression that flashes across your face. Or when you start to feel self-conscious, you immediately start to touch yourself and you don't even realize it. It is the words that you start to use. I don't think so. Well, maybe or possibly, I would suggest. All of those things signal emotional exposure. Now, I'm not saying to you, don't be emotional, because we're all human. We all have emotions. But women who have lower reactions, who are very calm, it doesn't mean that they are disconnected or that they are cold. It simply means that they have control over their emotions. What they're signaling is, you can't move me based on my emotions. What they're signaling is, you are not going to be able to manipulate me or use my emotions against me. And what these two women signaled in that interview is, I have no control over my emotions. I will not be able to control my emotions, whether someone says something that hurts my feelings or make me feel self-conscious, or if I'm not sure of something, I cannot control my emotions. That is what I like to call emotional exposure. And the minute each one of these women did that, that is when they lost their overall authority. They were teaching us as the panel how to treat them. So the second signal is what I like to call decision energy. It's not about the decision that you make. It is actually the energy and delivery of the decision that you've made. Women who are very confident and women who are sure of their decisions, they actually deliver a decision when they're speaking as if the decision has been made. Women who are not quite sure, they may have made the decision, but the energy that they're giving off is, I'm not quite sure, or that I'm making the decision just because I'm talking out loud, or I'm asking you for permission to make the decision. When those two women in the interview started using terms like, I'm not quite sure, but I think, or I possibly would suggest, or, what do you see as success? When they started using language like that, they immediately said that they didn't have the decision energy, or they weren't delivering it with decision energy that showed the panel members that they could make a decision and stick to their decision, and that they were comfortable and confident in their overall decisions. Decision energy is, how you project that decision that you have made in a way that shows people that your emotions are not a part of the equation. The decision is made based on facts. So the third signal that you may be giving off is what I like to call is self-positioning through presentation. Now, this isn't about wearing very expensive clothes. It is how you present yourself in terms of the position that you're trying to go into, especially as it relates to these two women. But it's really how you position yourself through your overall presentation. For example, when I come on and do these videos, you all know that I am a C-suite executive. So visually, you're looking at me and you can see that I am an executive. This is one of those things that you pay attention to, but you're not quite sure why you pay attention to it. Self-positioning is the signal that is the one that's most visible, because for you, when you look at me, you see an executive. But if I came on here and each time I did a video and I had on a sweatshirt or I had on workout gear, you would think, well, is she really an executive? And you would probably think, well, if she is she very good at what she does? Because self-consciously, you are looking at how I position myself through presentation. And it has nothing to do with having on expensive clothes, but it is how you show up. These two women that interviewed for the position, one of them did not have on a blazer. Now, you may be thinking that's no big deal. But if you're coming to an organization that's somewhat conservative, and when I say conservative, I mean all of the executives wear blazers, at least 95% of the time. So if you do a little research, then you kind of find out a little bit about the organization, a little bit about the culture of the organization. If you show up and you don't have on a blazer, what you're signaling to us is you don't see yourself as an executive. What you may be signaling to the employees is you're not an executive. That is what I call self-positioning through presentation. Whatever it is you're trying to achieve, wherever it is you're trying to go, you have to position yourself through your presentation, because that signals to people that you are serious about where you're trying to go, that you are already there in your mind on where you're trying to go. And that is one of those signals that is highly visible. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Those are 3 signals that you may be giving off that teach people how to treat you. Leave a comment down below. You know we like to keep the conversation going. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and to share the video with people who may like this content. As always, ladies, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.